So the best way to keep straight planets, signs, and houses is to always remember these differences. Always remember this. Planets are conditioned by a sign and express themselves through a house. So the signs tell us the planet's character, and the houses tell us where the drama of that planet unfolds. So to, decipher specific placements, you really just have to start by breaking them down step by step. As you get more practice, you'll learn to do this more intuitively and quickly. But even though, I've been studying astrology for decades, I still find myself going to this basic structure when I'm analyzing chart placements. In a sense that the houses are a little bit more active. Watching someone from the outside without knowing them, say you have an anthropologist just sitting there, observing, that anthropologist would probably be able to distinguish a house placement before a sign placement. The houses tell us where and how the energies are materializing on Earth. So they tend to be more visible, more evident. And again, whereas the sign speaks more to the psychological motivation of that planet, right? Or kind of the overarching values or motivations of that planet. So let's take an example. Here's my chart. My sun is in Capricorn in the 9th house. So first, the planet. The sun, it's our conscious identity, our vitality. It's, the drive to shine and achieve a life purpose. It's how we express ourselves, not just mentally or verbally, that's Mercury, but in our totality. What qualities are core to my identity? What are the core principles by which I am driven to live and shine in this life? To that, I look to the sign. Capricorn. Capricorn's a sign ruled by Saturn, and Saturn has a hardworking, determined drive. It's focused on getting things done. It's focused on achievement. So that means that my life purpose, my soul identity, my personality has a more somber, serious nature, like Capricorn's ruler Saturn. And it's focused around achievement, which is another Capricorn quality. But achievement in what? In what area of life? To answer that, to see where my sun shines, in what areas of life I feel compelled to express myself, we look to the house. Here we'll get information about the types of experiences that contribute to my sense of individuality and shape my sense of pride. Pride, sun, pride is another sun keyword. And Capricorn, pride tends to be expressed as achievement, especially through work. So what house? 9th house. The house of foreign travel, culture, higher learning, philosophies, spiritual philosophies. The 9th house are areas of our lives related to seeking. These are areas of life where I focus my Capricorn sun qualities. And indeed, I very much have the personality of a seeker, having spent much of my life trying to uncover the secrets of the universe by studying astrology, physics, spiritual philosophies, and other cultures. I worked for many years in international development, traveling all over the globe, working primarily with indigenous peoples. So you can hear the foreign culture of the 9th house there. And prior to that, I spent many years in academia, where I taught sociology to university students, tying into the 9th house of higher learning. So you hear 9th house activities that I've been busying my life with, Capricorn is the tone, the activities, the action of my sun has been focused in the 9th house. Now, and just because my sun is in the 9th house doesn't mean that I don't have a personality or identity, the sun, in other areas of life, right? For example, I'm still a Capricorn sun in my one-on-one relationships, which is the arena of the 7th house. But the solar function, the desire to be authentic, to shine in this world, that's our sun, that's focused on 9th house matters for me. And keep in mind that houses aren't just physical locations. Sometimes they are. The 4th house can literally represent your home. But really the houses, they're areas of life, including, relationships with siblings. That's the 3rd house. Or creative energy. That's the 5th house. Vitality. That's, the 1st house. And so, they overlap. They interact. When you're out shopping or running errands, a 3rd house activity, 2nd house issues around assets, resources, and self-worth are surely going to come into play, as is your 1st house, how you come off, and so on. In other words, in our everyday experiences, we are more often than not doing more than one house. So now let's move on to look at some examples of planets and signs and houses to help us practice disentangling house and sign significations. So I already gave the example of my sun, which is in the 9th house in Capricorn. As a contrast, let's take the example of someone with a sun that's in the 10th house rather than the 9th, and in the sign of Sagittarius rather than Capricorn. So we're basically inversing the sign and house significations here. The 9th house is generally associated with Sagittarius and the 10th with Capricorn. So my sun has a Capricorn style, which gives me a persistent and, quite realistic outlook about how to accomplish things, if not a bit pessimistic. A sun in Sagittarius, on the other hand, has a default style of optimism. These two signs are incredibly different in style. There's generally a blind faith that things will turn out well and that people are good. It's a very different air than a Capricorn sun. Capricorn is more likely to be cynical. Sagittarius tends to be anything but. Having my Capricorn in the 9th house doesn't give me a Sagittarius style of expression. It makes me do a lot of Sagittarius related things like traveling, gathering more knowledge, but Sagittarius suns don't necessarily travel a lot or pursue graduate degrees or spend their energy learning about different cultures, though they might. The sign speaks more to the general disposition of the solar energy, the philosophically oriented approach to life. It's the sun's style. And in the same token, having their Sagittarius sun in the 10th house doesn't make them more grounded, earthy, or serious like a Capricorn. The 10th house is about visibility. If you want to hide something, don't hide it on your midheaven. Planets in our 10th house, especially those conjunct our midheaven, are most visible qualities, at least from a distance. The ascendant is more visible to those meeting you. Midheaven planets are visible to those who don't even know you personally. Because the 10th house is your reputation, your career, how you're seen and known. The person with their sun in the 10th house will need to express themselves, sun, through professional avenues or the social roles that they hold, 10th house. The sun in the 10th is seen and recognized for the way it shines. So the person with a Sagittarius sun in the 10th house will be seen and known for being their bright Sagittarian sun selves. Think about the energy of a Sagittarius sun, big, bright, glowing as an individual. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, the biggest planet in the sky, in our solar system. So this public house at the top of the chart, having the Sagittarius sun there, it can bring people to positions of authority and leadership. So with the 10th house Sagittarius sun, we would expect someone who's known for being inspirational, perhaps, or a philosopher, a higher education teacher, a spiritual leader. These are Sagittarius sun qualities, but the part of being known for is the 10th house, right? Because we tend to put a lot of energy into our 10th house planets, it would also be someone who works hard to be accomplished and known, but likely in a profession that will give them lots of freedom because they're a Sagittarius, and Sagittarius likes freedom.